Hi, and welcome to a quick demonstration of the Sonification Workstation software. Before we start sonifying stuff, I'll just give a quick overview of the application window itself. Here on the left-hand side is what's called the data view. That's where whatever data set you load will be plotted and where you can navigate it and set loop points, things like that. Over here on the right-hand side is what's called the patcher view. And over here you can instantiate synthesis objects, connect them, and build a synthesis tree that will characterize the sound of the sonification that you're doing. It's inspired by patcher languages like Max and Pure Data, but it's much smaller and easier to use. Under the data view over here is the transport, where you can, of course, play and stop the data. You can set interpolation on or off, or you can set looping on or off, and also set the playback speed, which is set in data samples per second, anywhere from 1 up to audio rate. So just to give a quick idea of how the program is used, let's load a data set. Just a simple data set that's for demonstration purposes only. It has 3 columns of data, which have been mapped to 3 tracks. Each of the tracks has been automatically given a variable identifier, A, B, and C, which you can use for parameter mapping purposes. Over here in the patcher view, let's right-click to bring up the palette, which shows us all of the objects that we can instantiate. We're going to need an output, and then let's do something really simple here, just for a quick demo. We'll drag in an oscillator and an AM, or amplitude modulator object. I'm going to connect the modulator to the oscillator to the output, and just real quickly, we'll set the amplitude modulation to 1 hertz and give a listen. And you can hear clearly that there's an oscillator being modified. The amplitude is being modified at 1 cycle per second. Stop that. And we'll show the oscillator was a frequency of 440 hertz, which is the default. If you want to map it to your data, all you have to do, go ahead and erase that and enter one of these variable names from the data track. So how about track A? Press play again. And there we can hear that the frequency of this oscillator is being controlled by this data. The frequency range is also scalable. So let's say that we wanted this to ramp from a range of 200 hertz up through a range of 800 hertz. And now the lowest value in the data set is scaled to 200 hertz, and the highest value in the data set is scaled to 800 hertz. Now, the other thing that you can do when you're playing back and mapping data like this is you can turn on interpolation. And you can sort of hear, and if I mute the amplitude modulator, it's more obvious. You can hear that the data is jumping from each data value to the next. If you'd like it to be smooth, sort of like the plot itself is, and connect those dots, turn on interpolation, and you hear a nice smooth ramp. Even though there's only 6 points in this data set, it's giving us a nice smooth ramp. And the looping is actually not looping of the entire data set. That loops no matter what. What it does is it allows you to set a section of the data set that you like to loop through. Turn that on. And you right-click and drag to change the loop points. Put it wherever you'd like. So that there is the basic workflow of the Sonification Workstation. In some of the other videos, we'll go into specific sonification or audification schemes just to see what those sound like and how you would implement those.